everybody, and a massive welcome to day one of National Epilepsy Week. I don't know about you, but I'm really excited to kick off this week with something very special because I am starting the week off with a collaboration with a very great friend who has been on my channel before, and I decided that I wanted to collaborate with her once again to talk about epilepsy for National Epilepsy Week. And of course, I'm talking about Claire Carmichael. And I don't know about you, but I think it's very good to start off with epilepsy in the medical field again. And I won't go into too much detail because I know that I will let Claire introduce herself. And then, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the collab. So we have the amazing Claire Carmichael back with us for the second time to do the collab today. Claire, hello.
Hi, Saz, and everyone. Thank you so much for having me, Saz. It's always lovely to come and talk to you.
Oh, it's a pleasure having you today as well. And then also we got Dylan and Nix as well joining us in the background. It's wonderful to have you all back as well, really, for Epilepsy Awareness Week, really. And I know it's not going to, it is going to be different, like the last time, really. But it's going to be a bit much harder because I said to Claire before, I haven't got anything down, so we're going to have to improvise off by scratch, really. So there might be some questions where I might get a bit mumbled, but we're just going to go with the flow and then see what happens.
Just wing, it's fine.
So I know that there are some viewers who have watched you for Autism Awareness Week, Claire, but would you like to introduce yourself again for anyone who's joined us and hasn't seen you before?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a general practice nurse down in Hampshire area. I've been in healthcare for about 12 years now, and I've done lots of different things like elderly care. I worked with learning disabilities for a year. I've done dementia awareness. I've worked on the hospitals. I've been here, there, and everywhere, really.
But you've always been busy, really, and so that there's no rest for the wicked. But you really definitely were busy, and especially, I think you said last time as well, you did the COVID jabs as well. So
yeah, we've been doing the vaccines. I haven't done them for a few weeks now. I needed to have a rest because I was so busy all the time. And we're a nurse short at the minute, so I've been doing extra shifts at work as well to fill in for that. So to do that and then to do the vaccines at the weekends, it was just a bit too much. So I haven't signed up to any for the last couple of weeks, but yeah, we've been doing that as well.
Oh, that's good though. But I hope the other nurse is okay though. So
yeah, she's okay. She's moving to Australia, so she's left to go and sort out all of that. So
wow, Australia, that's so crazy. Oh, that's
I don't know how it's going to work for a minute with COVID and everything, but yeah, she'll be going at some point.
Oh, well, we'll wish her all the best of luck then as well. But it's absolutely crazy though how everything just passes by and then goes from one thing to another. But yeah. I think it just, life is funny and it has its own mysterious ways, really.
Definitely. One of my old lecturers said to me, no, not one of the lecturers, one of the old doctors I used to work with said, because he was leaving and he wanted to leave a nice little speech for his parting goodbye, and he said something like, life's like a train journey. You'll have people getting on and off the train at different points in your journey, and some of them won't make it to the end with you, but that's just the way that life is. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's really nice or really sad.
I think it's a mixture of both, really, by the sound of it. But it's a nice quote to follow, really. And then being you sharing quotes on social media all the time, we do need inspiration in life, even in these tough times. We do. So when did you first come across epilepsy? Because I know you said in the last collab we did for World Autism Awareness Week, you covered it through content creators on social media. Was that the case with epilepsy?
The first time I really saw epilepsy was when I worked in like a residential sort of home for people with learning disabilities, and the one young boy that I was looking after, well, I say young boy, he was 18, it was a bit older, but he had epilepsy, and that was the first time I'd ever seen someone have a full epileptic seizure, and I was like, oh wow, this is a little bit scary to see it. And you can't physically do anything. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, it was quite scary, but that was the first time I come into that, and that was in 2007, I think.
Oh, okay, 2007. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know that it's absolutely crazy, really, just to have like it think about like with epilepsy. It is quite scary because sometimes they are unexpected, really, and you just don't know what to do. But because it
Yeah,
involves like quick thinking, really, doesn't it?
that's it. Yeah, definitely.
And then since you first experienced with epilepsy, have you done anything else since then, like first aid training or knowing
Yeah.
about it a bit more?
Yeah, so when I started university, we went through epilepsy and the different types of epilepsy and how to sort of manage it if you see something like that. So that was really useful. I probably needed it more back then when I had that patient, but it's come in handy, to be honest, with different patients. So yeah, it's very good.
Oh, that's really good though. It's really good to see how you've jumped in for like I'm trying to do like a time frame. So 2007, and then you started university in 2015, 2016. So that's probably like a 10-year,
Yeah,
11-year
yeah,
gap.
that's it. Yeah,
Oh, so that's really good though to see within the
yeah,
last 11 years. It's always good just to like get like in between, really. I know I'm not making any sense, but it's always like good in that time frame, really, just to
yeah,
jump from one thing to another, really. And I know that I wish I had something like that, really, because it can be scary, really, with everything that's going on. Have you actually seen families or with an individual with epilepsy, or a family who has like a few generations of epilepsy? Because I recently heard that, like autism, epilepsy can be an inherited condition.
yeah, that's true. I haven't personally seen it, but my sister also has been diagnosed with epilepsy as well. That was the next thing that I found. But she has the oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it now. The
Tonic-clonic?
clonic, yeah, the tonic clonic. So she has these little jerks, and she's always had that, and no one's ever given her a proper diagnosis. But she finally had her diagnosis a couple of years ago, and she had her first big seizure. She'd never had a seizure before, but she had her first big seizure, and actually she almost died from it. It was lucky that her boyfriend that was with her could help her, and he called 999, and he pretty much had to resuscitate her. It was quite bad, but that was the only time she's had a full seizure. But she's got like the little jerk movements, but no one else in our family has got epilepsy or had epilepsy. So I'm not sure where it's come from, but yeah, she's got it.
Oh no, that's really interesting though, because I think I can relate to your sister in that way, because
Yeah,
I know I said, because when I started my YouTube channel, I was diagnosed with epilepsy around then, and I know with tonic-clonic, it can be like a bit difficult, because I know that when I was 14, I had one, but then I didn't have another seizure until 7 years later, and
yeah,
it was really like spooky, because the first time I had it, I was going away on holiday with a specialist group, and then there was one nurse who had to contact my parents, really, because it was in the middle of the morning, and she said to my parents, "I didn't know your daughter was epileptic," and my parents were like,
wow.
"Wait, what?" But we didn't think of anything of it, and then I still went on holiday because we were going to France at the time, and one of the doctors from another group came to assess me like a few days later, and he said, "Maybe it's just because you're tired," and the thought of
Yeah,
epilepsy was brushed off, really, until a few years later. I know with the jerking and all of that, it can be like it's not expected, but it can be
yeah.
hidden and clever in some ways, really. But with your sister, what kind of jerks did she have? Did she have like fingers, or did she
It's
feel pain
more
on her
like
upper leg?
it goes like this, like suddenly. It's like more of like a whole top body, really. And sometimes it's when she's showering and she sort of nearly falls over, she says, when she's showering, because sometimes it is her whole body that just
Oh,
has this jerk movement. Yeah.
oh,
Or she's having a tea or something and she'll spill her tea. She laughs about it though all the time.
this is quite interesting, really, because when I go in the shower as well, every time when I'm feeling funny, I mean, this happened recently as well. I jumped into like the shower, and I felt my head like pounding a little bit, like I was saying, like, how do I describe it? It's like a screwdriver going into your head.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the pain of your head is the screwdriver, and then the head is the screw trying to like screw
Oh
it
God.
in really, and it's really painful. And then sometimes I have blurred vision, which is like insane really, as well as like with epilepsy. With your sister, was there anything that you learned from her with like epilepsy? Did it make you feel confident and more knowledgeable about it, or did you want to look into more while you were studying?
Yeah, I think so. I think having someone in your family with it definitely helps, because then you can understand from a more personal point of view. So then when I have patients, for example, I can transfer those skills with my patients and explain, okay, I've got this knowledge from my sister. I know how it might feel in some way for you and your family. So in that way, it's really, really helped, I think. But it's also helped doing the university and the teaching behind it as well. It's been quite interesting.
Have you ever given lectures about epilepsy at university?
No, I haven't done actually anything on epilepsy. It's definitely worth thinking about.
Yes, definitely. I'm just so surprised, really. But it's just like one of like the biggest things ever, really.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know epilepsy, a lot of people tend to think, oh, it's not very common, I'm not really interested. But it's always important to know that, really, especially when it comes to first aid.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But yeah, even our when we had some training at university, it was only a short lecture, really. It wasn't a full day or anything like that. It was like a short hour lesson. It wasn't. It was good, but it wasn't enough. Maybe I think.
With the EEG scan, have you had experience with that?
I haven't seen it personally, but we did have to send a patient for one because she was having all these seizures and things, and we didn't know why, because she wasn't diagnosed with epilepsy or anything. So she had to go and have like the electronic scan on the brain and things. But I haven't seen it personally, but it does sound so fascinating how they do these things.
Oh no, that was really interesting. I mean, I had that before my diagnosis, and what happened was it was the most silliest thing, really, because what happened was I had to go to like a special unit because the hospital where I am didn't really do anything, so I had to travel about like 14 miles and 2 trains to actually get to the place. And what happened was that I went in, and then the doctor and nurse explained to me what it's going to be about. So they had like the little wire sockets. Is that what you call them? Yeah, the wire
Yeah.
sockets. And then what they did beforehand, they had to gel my hair.
Oh.
And then apparently you can't really wash your hair or go in the shower for about 2 days beforehand,
Oh
which
my God.
yeah, because they were really strict about it, just
Yeah.
because they didn't like because you didn't want anything to go wrong, really. And if you did wash your hair beforehand, the wires won't register the brain. And then also when I had them put on, it wasn't too bad, but it tickled and it felt like I wanted to scratch my scalp a little bit.
Yeah.
and, and then I had to wear something to overprotect that, because the wire sockets were attached to like a stereo radio, but you have to put like on the side of your hip. But then I remember my mum making a hat for me just to try and cover it up, and I thought I looked so ridiculous.
Oh.
I just thought, oh no. And then I had to go back the day after, but then it turns out the wires didn't actually work, and
Oh
the
no.
device was turned off, so I had to go back and I got another tape back. I was really annoyed with myself because the second time I had to get checked and go back was when I was in college, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to look so ridiculous. And then everyone was just questioning about it, and my class peers were like, what happened, are you okay? So I had to explain, and some of them even tried to touch the wires
Oh my God.
as well. And I said to them, no, you can't touch the wires. And it's just like curiosity, because some of them were autistic, and I didn't really mean it in a horrible way, but it's just
Yeah,
like, you have
to
to
help.
stick by it. I'm sorry, but you just have to.
But you got your answer in the end.
I did actually. It was a bit shocking, really, but I think my family knew it was coming, really, but I didn't. But the worry thing as well, you have to worry about like the stigma and the stereotypes of it, really. I think Nix is smiling in the background. Hi, Nix. Oh. Have you actually had like some cases as well when you had to help a neurologist?
Oh, the only real time I had, when I was a student, I worked on a stroke ward, and that's the only time when I've really dealt with neurology type things. I haven't really been, I know some people get placements in neurology wards and things like that, but I never had that experience, which is such a shame, because I think it would have really helped as well with my learning. But other than that, and actually that's where that patient was that we had to send for the electro EEG thing. It was on the stroke ward because she kept having these seizures, but that's the only time I've really experienced it, which is a shame.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah.
it's so strange though. They do like the same thing with strokes and all of that, and it almost sounds like the same, but it's kind of like
Yeah.
different in different perspectives. But I'm really glad that they actually use the EEG scanning for strokes as well. That's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fascinating what they do.
Well, and then also it's just like you learn something new about it as well, really. And then have you had any a further sport? Did you have any member of staff who was epileptic? And because I know that there are some people who I know who are like staff members and all of that, they had like epilepsy, and that's through jobs that I've had, and then the volunteering job I have now. They said that they all have like epilepsy, but they would love loads more first aid training, not just in hospitals, but for everywhere
Yeah,
else as well.
definitely. I don't think I work with anybody that's got epilepsy, not that I know of. But I'm assuming if someone at work would have to know if someone's got epilepsy because they have to be aware of these things, don't they, and put things in place for them. But not that I know of. I don't know anyone that I've worked with epilepsy. More just patients and family members. Yeah.
I think I said to everyone at work once, I would really, really love for everyone just to like in the team just to do a bit more aid training and
Yeah.
then like really good training to like what to do with the seizure, because I know that in hospitals you see like posters on how to, but I feel it's just not enough.
No, yeah, it's not, definitely not. I think everyone should be first aid trained because you just never know when it's going to happen. And you don't know if someone's got epilepsy. It might be undiagnosed as well, and they might just suddenly have a seizure. And yeah, it's quite, yeah, there definitely needs to be more training on it. Yeah.
That's it. And then with like friends and family as well, has your sister actually asked you to like oh, what's the word I'm looking for, just to help her in case she has a fit and if her boyfriend's not in, or if she needed like some help like phoning, or someone asking to stay with her if
Yeah.
she had a seizure while she's waiting for an ambulance?
Um, no, but I think that's because she lives so far away now. She lives over in Kent, so it's
Oh,
about 3 hours, I think, from here. So yeah, but she knows like if she ever needed anything, she can always call me anytime. Like if she knew her boyfriend was going away or something, I don't know, I would always go and help if she needed it. But no, her boyfriend pretty much stays with her 24/7. Because I think after she had that full seizure and almost died from it, I think she's just been really scared about it, so he's sort of stuck to her side a little bit,
oh.
yeah, to make sure she's okay, so that's a nice thing. Yeah.
Lovely though, because I know that it's really nice just to have like something like that with support, really. And I don't blame her, because it is actually really scary,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
just for like the person and like herself, but for loved ones as well. I know that when me and my boyfriend, when we talked about it, and he said to me that he knows someone in the family who also has epilepsy, but since his cousin has got a child, what they tend to do really, if her partner is to go away for work or something, she has to go with the baby to his mum's house and stays there for the whole day to make sure she's okay. But in one way, really, like as nice as it is really, but this is looking at devil's advocate for other people's perspectives. Some people with epilepsy, they wouldn't like that because they want their independence.
Yeah, definitely, yeah, you're right. I think it just depends on the person really, and how they feel and how they wanna handle it. and just go from there, I suppose.
There were some bits that I did have before, but I decided not to have them in the end, really, just because I felt like I really didn't need them, even though my seizures are a bit controlled. But I used to have some like gadgets and to help me if I had a seizure. So like for example, one of the ones I had was a GPS watch, and it kind of like looked like a time watch, but if there was a jerk or thing for epilepsy or something, it will transfer back to the emergency contact of my parents and all of that. But the problem with it was every time I did some running, really, if I missed a bus, it would mistake it as a seizure.
Oh.
And I just thought, this is why I got to give it up, really, because it really wasn't working for me.
Oh, that's a shame. That sounds like such a good idea as well. It's just a shame that it didn't work as good for you because of the running and things.
Which do you think, when you saw patients with epilepsy, did they tell you about the medication that they have and which ones work for them and which ones don't?
Not really. Tend to be people that are on their medication. It tends to be the right one from what I've seen. I don't think there's been anything where something hasn't worked for someone, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense, actually. I definitely agree, because I know that a lot of people have said this to me as well. And what was it, I'm on the lamotrigine, and apparently it's also good for depression as well.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so it's like a win-win. It's going to make you happy as well.
Yeah, it will like make like happy, really.
Oh.
I mean, sometimes it might not be like a case of working with it all the time, but if it works just to control my seizures, that's the main thing, really. And it's also good for like pregnant women as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I suppose with like hormones and things, maybe.
But then it's also like with pregnant women, I might jump into that actually, because I just had a thought about that. Have you had like a moment where there's a family who told you that they wanted a baby, but they have to go like through the stages to make sure they're okay about the medication they want to be on? So if they do get pregnant, the fetus won't be damaged inside the mummy's tummy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's so many different medications that can be unsafe in pregnancy. So it's always worth, if anyone was on any type of medication, to check with the GP if they do get pregnant. But then if they were pregnant, they would automatically tell their GP anyway that they're pregnant. And then they should, if they're a good GP, go through all the medications and make sure they're not on anything that's going to cause any harm to the baby.
That's really interesting you mentioned GP, because I know that I was told differently, really, because from what I heard, even though I've seen my neurologist and I was discharged from her last year, normally if you are thinking about having a baby, this is for epileptic women, if you are thinking about having a baby, most people would advise you to return to see your neurologist again and just have like a little bit of appointments. And sometimes like the time of pregnancy, I think the planning to type for planning you to get pregnant can be either a few months to a year or maybe even longer than that.
Yeah. I think my sister was actually told something about pregnancy, and she might not be able, if she was to get pregnant, it might affect her in her epilepsy and everything. So they've warned her away from getting pregnant in the future. So I think she's sort of steering clear of it. She's on contraception and stuff at the minute. But I can't remember the ins and outs of what they've said or why, or I think it must depend on how severe it is and what type of medications, like you said, that you're on. It's going to vary from person to person, I think.
And then I probably might jump into the contraception a bit as well. That was really interesting you brought it up, really, because I found out with like the contraception, like any method really, it's so limited. And I heard that you can only have 3 really, and one of them you can't have is the morning pill, because that would like interrupt the things that will work with the epilepsy medication. And it's really hard though, because the only things that you can be like very limited to, and the 3 that I've heard was the IUD, the injection, and the implant. I had like contraception methods before, and I still do, but I wouldn't recommend the implant, to be honest, because it has like the chemicals in, and it made me so depressed.
Yeah,
Like really at
it's
one
quite
point.
common as well, what I've found with the implant. When I worked, because I worked in sexual health for 6 years as well, and part of that was contraception. So we did all the implants and coils and things. And most people wanted the implant out because it caused either really severe mood swings or depression, or their periods were just all over the place and they couldn't cope. And that was quite common, I found, in that clinic. Yeah, and even now in GP, people come back because they've got so many problems, and it's probably, I don't know, there's probably other ones that are better than the implant, I think. Definitely.
I'll probably do one final question, really, because I know we talked about everything for about an hour, really, but it's been really, really interesting. And I think with the final question, what do you think about epilepsy in the medical field? Do you think more awareness should be raised about that? Or do you think that with epilepsy, because oh, how am I going to say this? I think I haven't heard a lot about epilepsy in men, but with women. But is it like possible to raise more awareness to get rid of like the stigma if someone says only women can have epilepsy, which is not true?
No, you're right. Quite a few men have it. I mean, we had the guy that I used to look after had epilepsy. Another elderly patient that I used to look after in the care home, he had epilepsy, where you go vacant, like the vacant one where he would just stop. He had a wheelchair and he'd be wheeling and then he would just stop like that. And you'd be like, hello. And then you realize, oh, he's having his epileptic seizure. It's fine, just leave him, he'll be fine. He'll come round. But he'll just stop in the most inconvenient places, like in the middle of doorways and stuff.
Oh no, that's really interesting because it's
Yeah,
absent seizures, isn't it? What you were referring
that's
to?
it. Yeah,
Oh.
that's it. But yeah, we all used to laugh about it, like together with the patient. We weren't laughing at him, but he would laugh about it as well. And we'd be like, "Oh, you stopped in the doorway today. We couldn't get past with the teas and coffees."
Oh, it's always nice just to laugh it off, really, and like if
Yeah,
someone finds it like laugh with everyone, it's
yeah,
really nice to think of it that
that's
way,
it.
really.
Yeah. It depends on the person. Well, some people you can have a laugh and a joke with, and other people just you can't. Yeah, that it's quite serious for them. But I've been lucky that these sort of people they've always liked to find the light-hearted side of it and have a laugh, making the best out of a tricky situation, I suppose. But yeah, definitely more awareness needs to be raised because there isn't, like you said, there's not enough awareness. Training needs to be better as well. And I think everyone should be trained in epilepsy because you just don't know. Like you could be on a bus and someone could have a seizure. Well, that's happened to me actually. I was on a train one day. I just qualified. This was last year. I just qualified. And I was on the train home and someone ran down the train saying, "Is there a doctor or nurse on the train?" I was like, I don't know whether to put my hand up or not. Do I? Don't I? I am the nurse now. I probably should. So I was like, yeah, come on then. So I went and helped this guy that was having a seizure on the train. And luckily, I got his phone out and found his emergency contacts and things like that on his phone. Luckily, he'd set it up as well because some people don't set their emergency contacts on their phone. And I managed to get hold of one of his friends that he'd put as emergency, or his partner. It might have been his girlfriend. Was it his girlfriend, wife, friend, someone? I contacted the lady anyway that was on his phone. And yeah, she said, yeah, he's got seizures and things. And then but this one was lasting a lot longer than it should have, so we had to call the ambulance and get the ambulance involved. And yeah, but he was all right in the end.
Oh,
He was just coming round when I left him. Yeah, so he was okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good though, because normally I think from what you said, a lot of people said to me that if someone has a seizure lasting for about longer than 5 minutes, that's where they have to call 999.
And especially if it's someone new that you don't know, because you don't know their past medical history, you don't know if they've got epilepsy or not, you don't know the cause of the seizure. So if you're seeing someone you don't know that's had an epileptic fit or is having it in front of you, it's always worthwhile just ringing 999 anyway, just in case. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's definitely like a really good thing to do. And then, yeah, I think we'll probably leave it there. Claire, thank you so much for coming on again today. I really do appreciate it. And it was been wonderful collaborating with you as always, really. We need to do another one at some point, I think.
Yeah.
And then thank you to Dylan and Nix as well for like running around and just like putting smiles on their faces as well. Oh, and all that. Oh, they're sleeping. Oh.
No.
If you want to have a look at Claire's channel, I will leave a link in the description box down below on my YouTube channel. And then, yeah, it was definitely been fantastic. And until then, everyone, I will see you tomorrow for another Epilepsy Awareness Week video. Take care. Bye.